Planet of the Apes is one of Hollywood's oldest and longest running franchises, but for many fans, especially younger ones, their introduction to the Apes saga only started within the last decade or so. I am one of those fans, and I'm here today to tell you all about my journey with the Planet of the Apes. If you like what I do here and want to show your support, be sure to hit the like button on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so that you can stay up to date on all things apes. Enjoy the video. Hello and welcome to Ape Nation, your number one source for all things Planet of the Apes on YouTube. My name is Josh, and today we are talking about my introduction to the Planet of the Apes franchise. This is a series of movies that I have loved since I was 15 years old, and I really admire everything about it. I love every movie in the series, minus two of them, and I'll get to those at a later date when I do a ranking or a tier list or something, or do my reviews of all the movies. But I just want to talk today a little bit about how I got interested in the franchise, when I got interested in the franchise, kind of what it means to me, and all that kind of stuff. And I just want to start from the beginning.
Well, if there's no life here, we've got just 72 hours to find it. That's when the groceries run out. Let's go.
So when I was 15, I think it was 15, maybe I was 14 or 16. So I was somewhere in that range. I was kind of the perfect age to watch these movies. They were showing these movies on TCM, which is Turner Classic Movies. They were marathoning the movies over and over again for like an entire weekend. So I recorded all of them because this was at an age where I was trying to discover and watch new movies. And I found them all, and I started watching the first one. And in the first like 10, 15 minutes, my dad came into the room and he saw I was watching it. And because he was such a huge fan of the franchise when he was a kid, he wanted to sit down and watch it with me. And we proceeded to watch all 5 of them together over the next 2 or 3 days. And it was a really awesome experience getting to have that bonding experience with my dad. For context, we don't really have a lot in common. Like, we don't watch, he's not a movie person. So that was like one of the few things we ever got to really have together that was just like our thing. And it was really awesome. We went and eventually saw the entire trilogy, the Caesar trilogy of movies in theaters. We saw each one of them together. And so, yeah, from when I was a teenager, I was enamored by these movies. I was a huge sci-fi and fantasy kid. Star Wars and Harry Potter were kind of my 2 franchises. Those were the ones that I grew up with, and I'm still a massive Star Wars fan. Star Wars is my real favorite franchise of all time. But Planet of the Apes eventually became very close second to that. And, you know, I also loved like Lord of the Rings and Star Trek and stuff like that. But something about Planet of the Apes, I don't know what it was when I was young, but I was just so fascinated by the mythology. I think it was kind of this idea of, it's what you actually really think of when you think of science fiction, is that something that is based in our reality, but it's, you know, an extreme, crazy, far out there version of what could happen based on scientific fact or scientific hypothesis.
We came from your future.
That doesn't make any sense. That's the only thing that does.
That, I think, was part of the reason that it stuck with me at such a young age, because it was kind of this weird blend of something that could happen, but it's so crazy and still in that realm of fantasy and world building and mythology building. And I was really fascinated by it. I loved the ape makeup. I loved the characters of Cornelius and Zira and Taylor. I loved following Caesar's journey across conquest and battle of the Planet of the Apes. I loved just the different twists and turns that were taken throughout the franchise. And I think it was also just, I was at that right age where you want to start seeing more mature and darker stuff. Obviously, when you're a kid, you watch, you know, cartoons and you watch fantasy and sci-fi stuff, but it's always uplifting, it's always fun, it's always, you know, larger than life, you know, it's Superman, superhero stuff like that. Obviously, like Harry Potter got darker. Lord of the Rings wasn't exactly like a light affair, but it, you know, it was a hero's journey story, you know. And Star Wars, you know, it's good triumphing over evil. Planet of the Apes was this different kind of franchise where every movie ends on a down note.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
The original movie ends, we find out that Taylor was on Earth the whole time.
You maniacs! You blew it up! Oh, damn you! God damn you all to hell!
Beneath the Planet of the Apes, they destroyed the Earth.
Bloody bastard.
escape, what happens with Cornelius and Zira and conquest and battle and so on. And so after that, I was just obsessed with the series. My parents got me the original series of movies on Blu-ray for my birthday that year. And then I got super into the TV show. I don't think I ever actually finished it, but they were airing the episodes of the TV show. I think it was also on Turner Classic Movies. And I was watching the TV show that I think was 1973 or 1974. It was shortly after the last movie. And I got super into that. I wasn't as into that as the movies, but I wanted more of that world. So it was cool watching that. I never got into the animated series. That's something I still want to do at some point. And then I eventually watched the Tim Burton movie, which I have thoughts on that I can get into, but I'll save that for when I eventually review that movie. And I didn't hate that movie, just FYI, but I was obviously, it's not the movie that I wanted to see continue this franchise. And so for the next couple of years, I think it was actually only a few years after I discovered the series, I think this was in 2008, maybe 2009, I discovered that a movie called Caesar: Rise of the Apes was in development. This is what eventually became Rise of the Planet of the Apes. This was early in my time of starting to kind of follow the development of movies and keep up with what's coming out and what's in production and all that kind of stuff. And I was super excited. I didn't know what this was going to be. I didn't know if it was going to be a continuation of the original series. All I knew was that there was going to be a new Planet of the Apes movie that was about the rise of Caesar. And so I was really excited about this movie. I kept up with it for a few years, didn't hear anything. And then eventually we got the first trailer. I got so excited. And then I finally saw Rise, and it was awesome to see the franchise that I'd become a huge, giant, obsessive fan of return with such prominence, and people were liking it and people were excited about it again. And that really got me excited.
Can you tell where a man might find?
And ever since then, I've just gone on this massive journey with the franchise where I've become even more obsessed with it, even more invested in the characters, even more wanting to learn about the mythology and the lore and all that stuff. And I've done so many deep dives already, but I'm just a huge fan. And I really also just want to thank Matt Reeves and Rupert Wyatt, and especially Rick Jaffa and Amanda Silver for reigniting not just my love of this franchise, but also getting other younger fans to be introduced to both it and the original series. I know a lot of people that have seen the Caesar trilogy haven't seen the original movies. If you're one of those, I highly recommend you go check those out. And honestly, even check out the Tim Burton one. I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be. The Caesar movies just did such a great thing for this franchise. They brought it back from basically the dead, because this franchise was dead for like 10 years. And it's been an awesome journey going from diving into this series when I was a teenager, getting super obsessed with it, kind of watching it be dormant for a few years, then getting to ride this wave of it coming back to life. And it's been awesome. It's been really awesome. I love these series of movies. I have so much more to say about them. I have a lot more videos planned talking about a bunch of different aspects of this series. But what I want to know is, what do you guys think of the franchise as a whole? How did you get introduced to it? What has been your journey with it? Did you get introduced through the Caesar trilogy? Did you get introduced through the original series? Did you get introduced through the TV shows or the Tim Burton movie? I want to know how you got into this series, when you got into this series. What do you think of it overall? What are some of your favorites? And yeah, I want to know all your thoughts about this series and how you got into it. Thank you so much for checking out today's video here on Ape Nation. If you liked this video, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so that you can stay up to date on all things apes. I'll catch you in the next one. So until then, goodbye.